watch TVC.
All right, and that's the best thing to do. Where do you rather start your morning than watching TVC? Honestly speaking.
Absolutely.
All right, good to see you all. Good morning.
Nice to see you. Good morning.
Always a pleasure. Well, let me give you a rundown of what we'll be doing on the show this morning. You know how we do it. At some point, Ibrahim will bring us all the headlines that have made it to the newspaper. We get to dissect it right here on the show. And then later on, we will be speaking about the primaries. We know that they have shifted the date for the 2027 elections, and the primaries now move very close. We will talk about it. When we take you to Abuja, we'll still be talking about election marches. So do grab that cup of coffee, and let's have a fantastic show. Well, you're still watching TVC Breakfast. Now we'll start with the story. The Acting Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, has directed the Commissioners of Police across 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory to increase surveillance and strengthen intelligence gathering, particularly focusing on the Northwest, Northeast, and North Central zones. This is coming amid evolving geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and their political global ripple effects. In a statement, the acting IGP Disu says the force remains unwavering in its commitment to protecting lives, property, and national peace, while emphasizing that Nigeria remains stable and its internal security architecture firmly under control. The acting IGP affirms the police force has activated, reinforced proactive and intelligence-led policing strategies nationwide. Meanwhile, President Trump confirmed the death of Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei following a major attack by the United States in Israel. This marks the third time President Trump's administration has attacked the Islamic Republic. Emmanuel Ajayi will tell us more on this.
Tensions escalated across Middle East as Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in massive US-Israel strikes. President Trump has indicated the ongoing military actions is aimed at overturning Iran's government. There are allegations that the Supreme Leader led Iran with iron fists for decades. US President Donald Trump described Ali Khamenei as one of the most evil people in history and urged Iranians to take back their country. Explosions have been reported in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, as well as Doha and Kuwait. Meanwhile, 3 US service members have been killed in action during the operation on Iran, launched alongside Israel on Saturday. According to medical services, in Israel, 9 persons have been killed after a massive strike in the city of Beit Shemesh. The Israel Defense Forces says it has launched another strike on Tehran, while Iranian officials says at least 153 people, including children, were killed after a reported strike hit a school. In response, Iran launched unprecedented waves of strikes on US military bases, Israel, and targets in other countries across the Middle East. Inside Iran, reactions are mixed, with some cities celebrating the death of the Supreme Leader. Others are witnessing public mourning. What is next for Iran? It's still early to say if the bombing will lead to a resurgence of anti-government movement after thousands of protesters were killed early this year. Emmanuel Ajayi, TVC News, Lagos.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuel Ajayi, for that one. Mr. Biodu Ibrahim, this is the topic that we'll be speaking about this morning. Now, all over social media, you know, this is what the conversation has been. We're talking about, you know, the attack. We saw what happened in Dubai, the airport, you know, we saw Palm Jumeirah. Like, Dubai, people know Dubai is a very, very peaceful place, you know, so to see that happen. And also, we saw Donald Trump, he described, you know, the leader, the Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, as a very evil person. And this is like the third time we're having this kind of attack, you know, from the United States. But then we're looking at the ripple effect when we just trickle it down to Nigeria. You know, what are we really looking at?
Look, whatever we say about Iran, Iran is a democratic country. You may disagree with that version of democracy, but the fact of the matter is election takes place in Iran. To say Ayatollah is an evil person, that's a different question completely, because you only need to talk to even American intellectuals, and then you begin to ask yourself, in reality, who is actually a dictator, who is dictating to the whole world. Go and talk to the Russians, go and talk to the Chinese, and you know, you begin to ask questions yourself. The fact of the matter is, we know the situation we find ourselves in, the issue of the theocratic disposition of Israel on the issue of not only the Palestinian land, the whole of the Middle East. I mean, we know the whole game, what the whole game is about. But it's the first time in recent history, in decades, when we have the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu allegedly, almost, be in charge of the American foreign policies. The Americans themselves are talking about it through, the lobby groups and all that, and then we have this war. But whatever is the case, Ayatollah is dead. Now, after Ayatollah, what next? We have the problem with Strait of Hormuz, which the Iranians can easily close. That will bring down immediately a closure to 20% of global oil
shipping.
Yeah.
The price of a barrel of oil could go as much as $120, $150 a barrel. Then we'll be in serious trouble. Virtually all economies. Oil producing countries will smile, like Nigeria, but what about the people? That's the major issue. The second issue is that there's a risk of regional war, which we are beginning to see, with Iran retaliation attacking Israel back. Of course, Israel joined the Americans, to attack Iran. We've seen the attack on Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. So there's a serious risk of a regional war. If the war should happen, the world will be in trouble for a long time, because the oil facilities that will get destroyed, not only in Iran, but also in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and some other places. Then you also have the possible, most unlikely, but the risk of a third world war involving the Chinese and the Russians. The reason is simply because the Strait of Hormuz is important to the Chinese. That's where they get the oil from. So if Iran should block that, then we're in serious trouble.
Ibrahim, quite a very dicey one. And I know you follow a lot of global stories. The genesis of this is that, the US and Israel were saying that Iran is developing some nuclear weapons that will be dangerous and all of that. And then they put the attack. But of course, we know that Iran wasn't going to keep quiet. That's a state that they will stand and protect themselves. But we're seeing all these attacks. It's quite worrisome because people are dying. People are losing their lives. Just like Mr. Biodun said, of course, we do not want a world war. If there's a world war, it affects each and every one of us. But for you, what do you think the next step, should be for someone that follows a lot of global news?
I think the next step is for all other countries to rein in President Donald Trump and the war criminal Netanyahu, as some people actually describe him, because Israel has
he's wanted by
the ICC, absolutely. So the fact that Israel has this policy of a greater Israel, take part of Saudi Arabia, take Bahrain, take Ukraine, take UAE, part of Turkey, also take the entire Palestine. And you see how much people have been killed in Palestine. USA is just dragged into a needless war. When they created the so-called Board of Peace, I said something at the time, I said because they actually board, B-O-R-E-D of peace. That's the reason they created that Board of Peace, and they are actually driving the entire world into a World War III if care is not taken. Now, they claim that Iran is developing a nuclear weapon, and Ayatollah Khomeini has been saying that they don't have any belief in atomic bomb or weapon, that kind of weapon, because it's even against their faith, because it's going to destroy humankind. And if you ask questions, has Iran ever, under the Khomeini regime, has it ever attacked any country, giving the first salvo? No. Israel has attacked more than 6 countries in just 2 years. And Israel has this this kind of non-disclosure of nuclear nuclear armament. And they said that they have about 60 of them. This is a country that should not even have the right to have a nuclear weapon because of the belligerent, the aggressiveness that is committing, in the Middle East. But I believe that we'll talk about this
more
in the course of our
during
conversation.
the paper. And just before we go, mind you, this is the 3rd time, that Donald Trump is actually attacking. This is the 3rd time his administration is actually attacking. But yes, we will talk about it a whole lot during the newspaper review. We'll take a breather now, and when we come back, it will be time to dissect all those headlines that have made it to the newspaper. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. This is TVC Breakfast.